All right, another way I can summarize the data of my 17 scores from the students in a statistic course, I can use something called measure of variation, which basically it tells me how the data is spread out. Let's put it this way in layman terms, how much the data look alike or how much the data look differently from each other. Okay, and we call that measures of variation. And one of those, there are different type of measures of variation. The two most common that we use in statistics are range, which in a previous video I show you how you find the range, the maximum minus the minimum. So 98 minus 53, that's how you get the 45. And like I mentioned in that previous video, bigger the range, the value of the range, more spread out the data is, more different the numbers look. Smaller the range, it means the spread is small. In other words, all the numbers are clustered around a specific value, or put it this way, all the numbers look alike. Okay, so that's one of the measures of variation. Another one is called the standard deviation. And again, in other videos I have made previously, I show you how you find the standard deviation using Microsoft Excel, and that's how I did it with these 17 numbers. Just keep in mind that when you're calculating the standard deviation, you need to find out where the data came from. If the data came from a population or if the data came from a sample. And the reason, there's different formulas to calculate the standard deviation from the population or from the sample. In this case, these 17 numbers were all my students in that stat class. That's what I chose, standard deviation of the population. That's how you see it in Excel, stdev.p. Okay, and it came out to be 9. Now you're wondering how you use that number 9, standard deviation of 9. How do you make sense of the data you have here? Well, I'm going to use a combination of the standard deviation and the mean to create a bell-shaped curve. Even though you have the histogram here that looks like a bell-shaped curve, okay, I can make a bell-shaped curve more accurate than the one that I see here with the histogram. And it basically involves doing the following: draw a horizontal line. Okay, and that horizontal line is really a number line, and I'm going to call that number line X, the X scores, which basically means the actual, in this case, the actual test scores of my students in test number 1 when I gave this test way back. Okay, and because it's a number line, I'm going to put marks, and I'm going to start with the mark in the middle, and that mark needs to be labeled. And the way that I'm going to label this mark is using the mean, and the mean here is 74. Okay, and why I put in the middle? Because remember, the mean is the center of the data, the middle of the data, what we consider typical. That's why we put the 74, the mean of 74, in the middle. Then to the right of 74, I'm going to put 3 marks. Okay, and to the left, I'm going to also put 3 marks. And I need to label each of those marks. And how do you figure out what numbers you're going to label these marks? You're not really counting by one. Don't say 75, 76, 77 to the right of 74. No, because we're not really counting by one. That's when we use the standard deviation. The standard deviation is telling me how much we are counting from the middle to the left and to the right. And in this case, we're counting by 9. So the next mark is going to be 83, because 74 plus 83, okay, I'm sorry, 74 plus 9 is 83. And if I add 9 more to 83, I get 92. Okay, that's 9 more than 83. And if I add 9 more to 92, I get 101. And those are the numbers I put to the left. I'm sorry, to the right. Same thing I'm going to do to the left, but instead of adding 9, I'm going to subtract 9. So the mark to the left of 74 is 9 less than 74, so that will be 65. The next mark to the left is 9 less than 65, so that will be 56. And finally, the last mark here is 9 less than 56, so that will be 47. And when I put those numbers on this number line, then on the top, I'm gonna draw the bell-shaped curve. Oops, let me fix that. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a nice symmetrical bell-shaped curve where the belly is around the 74, and then I have these long tails to the left and to the right of the number line, which I'm gonna explain more about this in the next video.